Fake! Fake! Fake grapefruits! Fake! Liar! You liar!
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It is Tuesday. It's a Taco Tuesday if I ever heard one. And we've got a lot of topics to cover today. And I've got a very big, very important one that's going to serve as both education and a caveat about Americans and what we stand for. Now, yeah, I had the Joe Biden, you're a liar little part of the intro there. But you know, it's more than just Joe. It's more than just the Democrats. It's more than the Republicans. It's more than just Washington, D.C. It's the people who run the world, the people who influence negatively, attack negatively, buy people, sell people, kill people, sometimes literally. Right now, there is a huge push in this country, the United States of America, to kill anti-Semitism, to kill it. Well, we were told years ago that as Americans, we can coexist. The bumper stickers even came out, had a cross and a crescent moon for Muslims and a star for Judaism and every other symbol for other religions to make the word coexist out of these religious symbols. But there's one symbol that seems to not have to suffer coexistence. Oh, wait a minute, there's two of them. It is the Muslim crescent and the Jewish six-pointed star. They don't have to coexist. They seek to dominate and kill everyone else. Now, we have a long list. And there are Muslims everywhere on the internet telling us exactly what they're doing and how they're doing it and how they don't give a shit. How they show up and complain their rights are being tampered with and they just don't feel comfortable and everyone else needs to accept them and accommodate them and try to pacify them and appease them and then put up with them and then deal with it whether you like it or not and then obey them or they cut your head off. Well, we're going to call them Zionists, which just is it's a modern term for a form of Jewish belief that is not friendly or willing to coexist. And they have now co-opted the United States government in Washington, D.C. And we've been hearing this for the past few weeks. And now, folks, a recording has shown up, and I'm going to play it here on the screen for you. It has to do with the CEO of the Anti-Defamation League. Now, we all know what a CEO is, but many people don't know what the ADL is. Anti-Defamation League is an organization that is politically biased, motivated, and supported to silence all dissension from what Israel wants in our country. And they also use, as well as the legal routes. Anyways, the CEO of the Anti-Defamation League appears to me to be calling Christianity a virus. A virus. I would like you to listen to this, and then I have a few things to say about it. I am a tolerant person. I know you guys are tolerant people. I know that our beliefs are, right, basically the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Anything you wouldn't want happen to you, you don't do to others. That's known as the golden rule. And it works. And it's how I live my life on a day-to-day basis. I tolerate others, their behavior, as much as I would expect them to tolerate behavior like that coming from me. But other people want to condemn, destroy, and smash, and rule, and silence, and tax, and many other bad things. Christian values basically are the golden rule. Here is the CEO of the Anti-Defamation League.
Anti-Semitism is a bit of like a virus. And like some viruses, it exists in the kind of body politic and it's dormant, like chickenpox. You get chickenpox as a young person, and then after the kind of inflammation subsides, it's still in you. And it can manifest again when you're older because of stress or age as shingles. Although you can get inoculated and you can prevent that from happening. So I think anti-Semitism is similar. It's like this contagion. It's as old as time, right? We face it for thousands of years. First it was, after the death of Christ, there were these accusations that the Jews killed Christ and that the Jews weren't a real religion because we didn't accept Christ and then we didn't accept Muhammad. So you have this, the Jewish religion isn't legitimate, and that was the basis for the Crusades, which is at Tisha B'Av, which, remembers the expulsion. We had inquisitions. We had all these horrible things. And then, after the Age of Reason, it was, maybe, and they realized that the sun doesn't revolve around the earth and the earth isn't flat. Then it was, maybe Judaism is okay as a religion, but it's the Jewish race that isn't legitimate. And then we saw kind of anti-Semitism metastasize into this kind of race-based form of hate, which of course exploded with the Shoah. And then after the tragedy of that, the injustice of that was exposed, people then said, it's not that their religion is illegitimate or their race is illegitimate. Now it's the Jewish state that's illegitimate. And we see that now in the form of anti-Zionism, which is anti-Semitism.
Okay. There's a lot in there. Making Christianity sound like it's a virus. And then playing the victim. There's a lot there. The CEO, he seeks to delegitimize Christianity because it wants to criticize the Israeli government, right? The historical practices and what's going on today, which is clearly not a good thing that's going on in Gaza. There are entire nations, not just a few people here and there, not just some anti-Semites, not just some Nazis, but entire nations are saying, we don't like what you're doing, Israel. So this guy comes out and says, thousands of years we've been picked on. Here we go, right? Claiming Christianity just all by itself is a virus, and it's anti-Semitic, and it goes down inside of you and it hides and it'll come back out again. Well, I don't believe that Christians are anti-Semitic. In fact, Jewish teachings are anti-Christian. And the claim that Christianity is a mental disease, it is the Jewish people that believe Jesus is boiling in excrement in hell, that the Virgin Mary is a whore. And there are many other insulting and nefarious remarks that come out of Jewish rabbis. So folks, the Jews of today and throughout history did and still do claim that they killed Jesus or put Jesus up to the Romans, and they take credit for Jesus being killed by them, crucified by them. So to claim that, we say that, they admit it. They admit it openly. They're proud of it. So, this pretending to be a victim, the victimhood of all of these people, the ADL and Israel, is ridiculous. We're trying to coexist and get along with everyone. And when we notice the people of America or the people of the world notice what they're doing is wrong, instantly they claim everyone is anti-Semitic. And that's as dumb and pointless now as calling someone a racist. Now, this claim that Christians think Jewish religion is illegitimate is wrong. In fact, Christians in America know very little of the actual teachings of Talmudic Jews, who believe that using people is fine, and stealing from people is fine, and raping children under 3-year-olds is fine, and raping women, goyim, is fine, and even killing Christians is acceptable. Those religious beliefs are disgusting, and they're not disputed. They're right there in the Talmud. Talmudic Jews do not read the Old Testament Bible and follow it, folks. They don't follow that faith. Their faith is the Talmud, which is the basis for what is now Zionism. The belief that they are superior to everybody. And you can't criticize them, but they can do whatever they want to everybody, which is what they use to justify what's happening in Gaza right now. As far as I'm concerned, this idea that you can use people, steal from them, rape them, kill them even, it's disgusting. And it's not disputed because it's in the Talmud. It's just hidden from the general public, but it's all coming out now. I've known about this shit, well, since the internet came out, the Talmud and what it says, because I wanted to find out. I was like, I keep hearing about this Talmud as their beliefs, and I went and actually read it and thought, holy shit. Now, going to the Inquisition. Yes, Jews were tortured and probably killed in the Inquisition, but the Inquisition also tortured and killed Knights Templars, Christians. They also killed Cathar Christians, and they killed nonconformist anti-Catholic Christians. So we need to be spared with Jews are the only one who suffered. That is a bunch of BS, right? And to say Christians believe that Zionism or Zionist Jews are illegitimate, that too is incorrect. The fact that Zionist Jews believe they are superior to all other peoples, or that they are God's chosen people, is fallacious. It's unfounded by any scripture, except for the Jewish Talmud, which once again justifies using, stealing, hurting, killing, raping, and even murdering. That's your religion, fine, right? And then also, there is no Jewish race. I don't know if you caught that. If you listen to it or go back and listen to it, he claims they're the Jewish race. That is a false claim, and it's a bald-faced lie. Now, according to the, let's see, what do you call the people that actually study scientifically? People, right? Scientists, right? Trust the science. Well, I don't know if we should use that term around here, but it's been accepted that there are three primary races on the planet. The Caucasoids, white skin tone. These would be the anthropologist folks. Caucasoids, then the Negroids, African or black skin, and then Mongoloids, which is the Asian race, right? All of which can interbreed with each other, as evidenced by, interracial couples. The Jews of today, folks, are Caucasoids, and they're descended from the Khazars, a people who adopted the Talmud, the Jewish faith, and they lived in the southeastern European region before they spread up into Europe. They're not a separate race. They're not a special people. They're not a chosen people by God. They just think they are. Now, relating to anyone claiming that the Israeli nation is illegitimate, saying that's anti-Semitic if you say they're not legitimate, and that if you say that, you have a mental disease, and that your beliefs are a virus, that's spurious, it's disgusting, it's stupid. Now, I think we can have a political belief that the secular nation of Israel, created by folks, an English aristocrat, came into being in 1948, is illegitimate. To say Israel is illegitimate is not anti-Semitic, but it's a political statement about whether or not a nation can be created and an indigenous population, the Semites of the area, were displaced. That's an act of mental gymnastics, and it's just plain old stupid, in my opinion. It's not anti-Semitic to say or question whether or not Israel is or is not legitimate. It's a political statement. And not liking that Jews killed Jesus doesn't make one a bad person, right? They claim that they had him killed or killed him. They claim that. So not liking them for killing Jesus doesn't make one a bad person, right? But it doesn't, right? Let me continue, right? Ascribing anti-Semitism to that is a problem for very thin-skinned, weakly intellectual Zionist Israelis of today. Their weakness, their thin skin, their sensitivity doesn't make anyone else or everyone else bad, right? And by the way, no Christians are saying that the Jews need to be killed. Nobody, right? Their teachings say kill anyone you need to. We're not saying that. And not liking and standing against the Jewish religion because it legitimizes the raping of children and women and stealing or killing goyim, white Christians. We fundamentally understand not agreeing with that as being moral, right? How can any Christian support raping and using children sexually? How can any Christian support stealing and hurting others? How can any Christian support murdering? Their religion allows it and promotes it as long as it makes Israelis stronger, more powerful, etc. But still, no one is saying Talmudic Jews should be killed. That's their belief systems, folks. Right? Not agreeing that Israel is a legitimate nation is a political belief, not a position that can be attacked ad hominem and socially shunned or criminally prosecuted. Right? In America, the First Amendment is very clear. Freedom means being free, not controlled by someone else's religious beliefs, not anybody, not Jews, not Muslims. Both speech and religious choice is ours to make, not Israel's to dictate. Antisemitism, which is opposing their political stance, opposing their religious beliefs, right? That's not criminal. It's not criminal. But the Anti-Defamation League, the ADL, and Israel and AIPAC want to make it criminal. Heads up, everyone. Heads up. Now, let's run through a bunch of things. Get your questions and comments down below. Folks, I'm not an anti-Semite. I believe Semites have every right to live as everyone else. Claiming to be a Semite when you're not is wrong. And being Christian and being forgiven doesn't mean I need to allow myself, my family, or my country and my countrymen be victimized. Not going to happen. Now, let's go over some other facts. The Texas target shooter has now been identified as a 32-year-old named Ethan Nineker. And Nineker has a criminal record, folks. And that criminal record has a mental health history to it. I'm sure because he had mental health issues, he was on psychotropic drugs, aka antidepressants, and it's the product of a Democrat indoctrination and hatred for America, and he killed 3 people because of it. So patriots out there, stay frosty, stay alert. It is not safe. Now, moving on again, Washington, D.C., the police chief there was questioned by some media and was completely dumbfounded when asked about what the chain of command means. They asked, responded, what's a chain of command? Right. This came following Trump's federal takeover of law enforcement in D.C. And by the way, Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police, as individuals, are quietly talking to media and saying they're good. They're good with the takeover because their leadership there is awful. Absolutely awful. Now, moving on to another shooter. Oh, this was quite interesting. And I just think about this a little bit. There was a gunman, we were told, who believed that his health issues were caused by the Jim Jones juice, which the CDC and the United States government said you should take. It's safe and effective. So this gunman went to the headquarters, couldn't get in, so decided to open fire from the outside. And at the headquarters, the gunman fired 180 rounds. That's 180 bullets. 150 windows were shot out. That would take quite a long time to do. And it seems like he got nearly 1 window per round. Right? That would have taken a long time to aim at a window and shoot it, to aim at a window and shoot it, aim at a different window and shoot it, and keep going. And it doesn't seem to be that would be a very effective way to get revenge or exact a punishment on people. But it sure was a great way to make a media splash and get attention. I just find that very interesting. Let's see, 180 rounds and a 30-round magazine is 6 full magazines. How many people here in semi-automatic mode with your perfectly legal AR-15? How many people have gone through and shot as fast as they can all the magazines they can? I've done it. Your finger will get tired. 180 rounds. That takes a long time. Just thinking about numbers, folks, thinking about questions. Okay, let's continue here. The Federal Reserve is back in the headlines because President Trump is now threatening a major lawsuit against the Federal Reserve and the federal chairman, Jerome Powell. Well, this came up again because of the latest inflation data and the recollection that we have a $3 billion remodeling bill. That's right, the $3 billion that somehow the private Federal Reserve Bank used taxpayer money. $3 billion is going to be needed to finish now. $3 billion in taxpayer money. Trump said this, folks, quote, "I am considering allowing a major lawsuit against Powell to proceed because of the horrible and grossly incompetent job he has done managing the construction of the Fed buildings. $3 billion for a job that should have been a $50 million fix-up. Not good." Folks, I agree with Trump on this. $50 million should have been the top, not hundreds of millions or billions. And by the way, I'm not distracted. I still demand the Epstein client list, and those child rapists need to be thrown in jail forever. Forever. They should never see the light of day again. And he said, I will commend Trump when he does something good, and I will criticize the hell out of him. And the criticism I have is, where are the arrests for Epstein's clients, the pedophiles? Where's the arrests for the treason in the 2016? Right? Treason that Adam Schiff is a part of, Obama's a part of, Hillary's a part of. Yeah, John Brenner's a part of. Susan Rice is a part of. Right? They're all part of it. Where's the arrests? Where's the arrest for the stolen 2020 election? Where's the arrest for all the money laundering over to Ukraine? Zero arrests, folks. I'm tired of the threats. I'm thinking about allowing it. If a crime has been committed, prosecute. Don't threaten, don't talk, don't bluster, don't BS. Don't raise your voice to the ceiling. Just do it. Now, speaking of money wasted, Ukraine is now exhausted. It's spent. It's done. They've run out of people. They've run out of other people's money, and they're ready to surrender, to cede territory that Russia now occupies, and that they're going to have to give that up in exchange for peace. And that, my friends, is how war works. People die and things get blown up, and it costs a lot of money. You fight, if you're in a war, until you have spent too much, lost too many men, and the enemy hasn't given up and they're beating your ass. So what do? You surrender and accept the victor's terms for peace. So it looks like Putin, folks, is going to keep the eastern territories of Ukraine, these same territories that held a vote to leave Ukraine and join the Russian Federation. But I do have this one caveat, this one warning. Do not, I repeat, do not expect the CIA nor Mossad to stop their terrorism. Also, I want to know if Putin will demand the Azov Nazi Ukrainian battalion be handed over for war crimes trials. That's a big one. If you recall, at the beginning of the special military operation, the special SMO, Putin said he was going to denazify Ukraine. I wonder if that's still going to happen. Oh, good golly, folks. I want to know, do you or do you not agree with Trump using the National Guard in the District of Columbia to fight crime? You know, what's interesting is the criminals are scared, and citizens now feel a modicum of safety. But Democrats, folks, are pissed off. They're the party of crime, the party of robbery, the party of looting, the party of, you guessed it, arson, assault, rape, and even murder. And they are very, very mad about law and order being restored against their will. What do you think of that? To me, that's the only thing I can come to a conclusion on, is they love all of those things happening. They love riots and protests and robberies and lootings and burnings and assault and rape and, yes, even murder. You want to know why? Because it scares people. It scares people, and then they turn to government and go, government, please do something. And then guess what happens? Not a fucking thing. That's how Democrats get more power, because the people demand. They're like, please do something. Take all of the authority you need and do it. And they don't. They do nothing, and they say, we've tried everything, which is nothing, and nothing is working. This is terrible. Give us more money, more power, more authority. Give up more of your rights. Do you see that in Seattle and Portland? Do you see that in Los Angeles? Do you see it and hear about it in Chicago, New York City, Baltimore, Cincinnati? That's right. Those white people were begging to be beaten to death by a bunch of thugs. Literally, folks, the mayor and the police chief and the fucking idiots at the top in Cincinnati actually said those people begged, begged, begged to be beaten. That's their attitude, folks. They love it. They love, and they need it. They want it, and they're willing to do it. I tell you what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to take us to the inner circle where I can read your questions, comments, and thoughts. Any subjects we covered today, all the subjects that I haven't covered, and a lot has happened. Let's get there now. And we're back. That was a quick commercial. All right. Hey, Mr. Uman, I think we've got some good stuff to discuss out there. I'm curious what you're going to put up first. Let's see what you got. And it's Diving Frog checking in. And he says, John, Baltimore was in the dark yesterday. I did not hear anything about Baltimore getting a blackout, a rolling blackout, an extended blackout. I didn't hear anything about it, so I'm glad you brought it up. Diving Frog says, Obama gave millions of dollars to the electric companies to strengthen the grid. What did they do with the money? They bought digital meters with it, because that'll strengthen things. You know, these digital meters, I still have an issue with. I don't understand why they pushed them, why they're fucking needed. Has the electric grid been improved? Well, the electric grid in California, its failure, overheating, throwing arcs, started forest fires and have started forest fires out there for years. And the state hasn't done anything. The federal government hasn't done anything. It's like they almost want us to go into a chaotic scenario. So what? Oh, so they can have more power and control, and we'll beg them, please do something about our electrical grid. Well, to stop forest fires in Canada, You're no longer allowed to go for a walk in the forests. That's right. Parts of Canada are now not allowing you to go into the forest. They don't want forest fires. I didn't know walking through the forest caused fires. Thought it was basically the arsonists out there taking a gallon of gas and a book of matches. Anyways, back to the electrical grid, improving it, the infrastructure. We're going to have some big trouble. I think one town in Texas, it was reported several days ago, ran out of water. They're running out of water because an AI, artificial intelligence facility, is using all the water, probably to cool their systems, which means they're also burning through a shit ton of electricity. So what's the solution to that? What's the answer to that? Trump is actually doing something through his administration. That's right. The Secretary of Energy is pushing and promoting not windmills. In fact, Trump just stopped a shit pile of those wastes of money. Windmills are an absolute waste of money on an industrial scale because of the cost. The cost of materials, the cost of construction, everything about it is a waste. But they're pushing, what they are pushing is nuclear power. Nuclear power. America used to be the number one uranium mining country in the world because, well, we're still the single largest nuclear power user in the world. A few countries in Europe just absolutely got rid of all their nukes. Now nuclear power is green. And there's uranium in lots of places domestically, and they've started mining it again. The prices are going up to make it profitable to mine. And we're going to start doing, there's new nuclear energy, new nuclear fuel rods, and that is going to save us. But this artificial intelligence, folks, is supposed to chew up a huge amount of power. So one of the questions I have is there going to be enough water and power for us after AI gets theirs first? Because that seems to be the only reason that they're actually finally looking at upgrading the system. I guess we're going to find out whether we, the people, matter or whether artificial intelligence as a means to control population and education and indoctrination, if that's going to be the priority, or if Israel is going to be the priority. And the crown in Europe and the crown at the Vatican, are those all going to be the priority, or are we the people going to own this country and benefit through our own hard work? I guess we'll find out, huh? Well, by the way, I think the Pharaoh used to keep his slaves, and slaves had to pay, I think, was it 15 or 20% of their money to the Pharaoh? That made them slaves. And then later in other kingdoms, right, the people had to pay 20 or 25% of their money to kings, and that made them peasants and serfs. Well, in America, we pay over 50% by the time you get done with federal, state, local, sales, road tax, gas tax, inheritance tax, every damn tax, property tax. By the time we pay all that, well over 50%. That makes us way worse than any slave or peasant, but we're the freest country on earth. Or are we? Well, we got freedom of speech. Do we? Do we? All right, Mr. Uman, where shall we roll next? We've got Uman. He says, hey, every religion thinks every other religion is illegitimate. Nothing new there. And every religious organization tends to want to, well, get rid of the other religious organizations. It is rather a more modern interpretation of what Christianity should be, which is tolerant. And that's why Europe and North America is being invaded by intolerant Muslims. Because, well, we're tolerant, and they don't have to be. Their religion says not to be. And Israel is, not tolerant of anyone else's beliefs either, which is why they're hated by all Muslim countries in the Middle East, and why they try telling everyone else what to do and what they can say and what they can think and what they can believe, and then attack them, psychologically, with ad hominem attacks, also calling them every dirty name for not obeying. Funny, isn't it, how religion is such a huge problem? Mikey says more wars are fought over religion than for any other reason. Well, I see what you're saying there. Up to the industrialization of the world. So essentially the 1800s, religion was the reason we would fight with each other. Right? Religious territories, religious beliefs, religious invasions. Now it is about something else. It's about controlling resources and the means of production, which creates and supplies a standard of living. That's why we fight wars now. But religion's always going to be a component to it. And the Muslims, they don't know anything about infrastructure. A few of I think Saudi Arabia, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, they have some beautiful cities now. They've been developing their infrastructure, and they're not allowing radical Muslims to control their countries. They don't tolerate it. They arrest them or kill them when they get out of hand. Some things that I just can't argue against. Right? I don't think religious zealots should be killing everyone else. I think that religious zealots need to, stuff it back in their magic lamp and run away. Anyways, yes, it is a mess out there. It's continued. But yeah, people definitely have more reasons to fight now. Right? Because they realized if you want to live life well, you need natural resources and means to productivity, right? Electricity, energy, oil, raw materials. That's what the fighting is about now. But who is at the front of this? Right? Who wants to control it all? Are they secular nations? China, for example? Russia? The European Union? The United States of America? Right? What are they fighting over now? The value and use and purpose of the dollar, the value, use, and purpose of gold, and the value and use and purpose of metals and food. Oh yeah, the food we're getting is not really good anymore, is it? They want lab-grown steak, chicken, salmon, and now butter. They want to make food out of goop. And if Bill Gates has anything to do with it, I'm sure it has mRNA in it as well, designed to give you cancer, make you sick, and kill you. Thank you, Bill Gates. Gil Bates. Good God, folks, this is an interesting show, is it not, this particular day? Once again, I'm not an anti-Semite. I think Semitic people are very nice. I'm against people who want to kill me or silence me or make me obey. I'm against people that want to steal from me, harm me, hurt my nation, hurt my family, and hurt my neighbors. And I am against them for that reason and for no other reason. If Muslims wanted to be nice and quiet and read their little Holy Quran and avoid bacon and pork products, I'd be fine with them. Right? Any religion that wants to come to my country and shit on us and steal from us, bad. All right, let us continue if we shall. I'm going to get off the religious subject and stay off it as best I can, unless you guys drag me back in it. And now we got Chin Music. And he says, I get verbally assaulted constantly. I don't know why, man. He says they do it for asking the following. If the Chinese or Russians pour over the border close to me, how many Israelis will come, fight, and die for me? Is there a number below zero? That's fucked up. Yeah. Yeah, no. There is no country on earth, including Israel, that looks at their people, taxes them, takes their money, and sends it to us in the United States of America. No, Israel takes our money, and their people have free healthcare, free education, a very convenient welfare state that makes sure everybody's taken care of. Housing, education, medicine, everything. The United States, the only people who get free stuff are illegal aliens and the people who have a very powerful lobbying organization. They bribe and extort politicians at both the state and the national level to get freebies and handouts. But if you're an American, a Christian, and you're smart and hardworking, you will pay all your taxes and it'll go to these other countries. None of these countries, folks, do you think Europe would come rushing to our aid if we were invaded by China or Russia? What about Mexico? What if, wait, Mexico did invade us? Same with a bunch of South and Central American countries, all at the behest, folks, all at the behest, at the doing and bidding of the Democrats, all at the doing and beckoning of the World Economic Forum and Israel and the European Union. They wanted us invaded and they got it. And nobody came to protect us. Russia pours over the border into Ukraine in response to their citizens, right? Ethnic Russians, not a different race, just ethnic Russians. They come over the border and America is supposed to go there and kick everyone's ass. No, sorry. Right? Europe wanted us there to pay for it, supply munitions, and even wanted us to send our soldiers. Yeah, we're expected to do everything, and we get nothing. If we get attacked, nothing. Now, when 9/11 happened, I remember the whole world, not the governments, but the peoples of the world were very upset, very sad, and I appreciated that. I saw candlelight vigils from countries around the world. Sorry that America was attacked during 9/11, except for one country, or several countries, but one in particular had their citizens dancing and laughing. And running in front of cameras and smiling while they described what they saw. The buildings being hit, burned, and collapsing. They seemed to get some kind of a kick out of that. And then days later, people who were Muslim and spoke in foreign languages at universities were laughing and bragging about what a great thing it was, not realizing that Americans have learned their languages. And it was revealed that, yeah, Muslims thought it was a good thing too. Are we understanding who we are as a nation? We're a Christian nation, founded by deists on Christian principles. And now we have religious wackos from India, Israel, and the entire Muslim world here shitting all over us. And it doesn't make me very happy. And I see where it's going. This is not the slippery slope argument, which is a logical fallacy, but rather look what is happening around the world to Christian nations. Ireland, England, United Kingdom, France, Portugal, Spain, Italy, Germany, the Netherlands, Scandinavian countries are all being overrun because they're Christians. All right, Mr. Uman, where are we going to go next? This person says, I'm down in DC regular and it gets a little sketchy at times. Hey, I listen to by all means use the National Guard. I hope that they get that place cleaned up. People are still worried and wondering, inquiring, hoping, praying that the National Guard will turn around and go arrest Congress and bureaucrats and criminals and thieves. I hope they do. And all the lawyers in Washington, D.C. I think that'd be great. But Joe Biden himself, back in the 1980s, stood in front of Congress. Stood in front of Congress and told them that in Washington, D.C., he runs red lights to avoid being carjacked. That was in the 80s. Add to that the 90s, the aughts, the teens, and now we're in the 2020s. Washington, D.C. has always been a shithole. Always. Always. Well, at least since the 1960s. And it would be nice to have it cleaned up, and every city in America have their chief of police removed, whether they're man or woman, Asian, white, or black. I don't give a shit. Just get rid of them. There ought to be a political test. Should be an American citizen. There's a good start, don't you think? You should have to speak English perfectly. Go to a year's worth of training on the Constitution and the law before you get to go to law enforcement training and learn how to shoot a gun. And then, right, take an oath to serve the people, not the city, not the state, not the government, but to serve the people. That would be a good thing, don't you think? Oh, and the political test. The Constitution is the law of the land. And in all cases, you should, as law enforcement, accept the law of the land and not make up your own fucking rules as you go. I don't think it's that difficult, but apparently it is. All right, Mr. Ooman, where are we going to roll next? Lots to talk about today. Lots indeed. Okay, we've got Robin checking in. Robin says, I bet it sure does get bad in D.C., but once we get the military involved, may not be able to get them out. Yeah, that's the proverbial camel's nose in the tent. Right? Once the camel sees what's in the tent, it doesn't want to leave. Right? That's the problem with power and authority. Once it's granted by we the people, government doesn't want to give it up. It's like, nah, we'll keep that. Thank you very much. You know, everyone or a lot of people like Abraham Lincoln as a president. I don't like him because he took extra constitutional authority. In other words, authority that did not exist. He suspended habeas corpus. He, at times, ignored the First Amendment and abused people and their First Amendment rights. I don't like Abraham Lincoln for those reasons, because he took authority that wasn't his, and then he didn't want to give it back. Ultimately, the South lost, the North won, and the Constitution changed. Look up the Act of 1871. That's when the corporate charter for the United States government came into existence. It's legitimate, folks. Before that, it was these United States, and after it became the United States. These United States of America got changed to, well, the United States, a corporate entity. In any event, yeah, I'm not a big fan. Not a big fan, because government does not like to give up power, and it'll always try and get more. You know, in fact, I heard somebody today call for, we need martial law in every city to fix all the problems. By the way, this person is an Israeli, is not a political scientist, but they thought that was a great idea. That's the problem with martial law, though, is when it happens, how do you turn it off? And I have seen enough martial law to know it's not a good thing to wish and hope for. Using the military to fix some problems that, shall we say, civilian law enforcement can't seem to figure out. Well, the problem's not the police in Washington, D.C. or any city. The problem is the chiefs of police, city councils, and mayors, and their hiring practices of hiring just Democrats. There's your problem. But yeah, once they go martial law, they may not want to go back. They may just like that a lot, right? That's the question. That's the risk, and that's the fear. And it's well-founded because it's happened in other countries. It's happened in other countries. Okay, Mr. Uman, this has been one heck of a fun show. We got more to go. We're under 10 minutes. And U.S. Viking Warrior checks in. I've seen a couple of your tweets today, man. He says, is it my imagination or are blacks trying to make as much black fatigue as they can? The answer is no. It's just your imagination, right? There is a percentage of the blacks out there in America that are up to no good, just like there's a percentage of Asians and whites and Native Americans and Martians and Venusians. They just don't give a damn. But there are groups that love to play victim. And this is where this victim game gets out of hand. I want you to remember and think about groups that claim victimhood. One of the biggest groups in America that has claimed victimhood has been Democrat blacks since at least the 1960s. But especially since the 1960s. They want reparations. They want to be paid for the slavery their great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents and great-great-great-grandparents suffered. But less than 1% of the white population in America ever owned slaves. In fact, out of all the countries in the world, you want to know what percentage America owned of any slaves of any color? Less than 1/10%. Did you know that you can still buy black slaves in the world today? Not in America, but in, well, Muslim countries. Why don't the American blacks that are upset about slavery protest that and go to their countries and cause trouble there? Instead, what we've got is a victim mentality that started with our ancestors were slaves, so therefore we have been picked on and we feel like victims, and they've worked themselves up into this incredible anger and this victimized mentality, and that, well, everyone else has special privileges, and so we're going to get mad about it, and we're going to throw a fit, and we're going to protest, and we're going to riot, and we're going to loot. And now they've gone to the stage, Mr. Viking Warrior, where they're going to get revenge. And it's a small percentage of the black population that is taken to this idea that whites need to be killed. Just like the South African black population wants to kill the whites, the Boers, the farmers. Anyone who's productive, they want to go after, steal their shit, and kill them. That is the source of the black fatigue, is the extension and the mentality of this victimized concept in their heads. They've gone from I'm a victim to I'm a victim and I'm going to kill everyone. We're going to, it's our country, right? Sounds a little like Israel too. That's always the victim. And they demand that government obeys them and gives them what they want. And everyone else must submit to them and they're superior. Oh, these same people here, the black fatigue types, were just like, would you shut up and go away? Right? They believe they're superior. And they're always a victim, but they're superior, but they're always a victim, but they're superior. And people are seeing it just like they're seeing Israel and what Israel is doing. And the world is seeing what the Palestinians do and what other Muslim nations are doing. Basically, if you're an asshole and you're committing acts of evil against others, people are noticing it and calling it out. They're tired of pretending, I don't see that they're Indians. I don't see that they're Muslims. I don't see it's the Israelis. I don't see it's the blacks. I don't see it's the gangs. I'm not saying that all the other races are perfect. I'm not saying that all the other religions are perfect. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is we're noticing. And folks, blacks are noticing as much as the whites and the Asians and everyone else. We're noticing. We're all noticing, and we've all got fatigue. I've got Epstein Island fatigue. I am fatigued with forgiving these people and pretending it doesn't exist. I've got Talmudic fatigue. I've known for over 25 years what these people think and believe, and they act on it. But back then, there was no Epstein files. There was no Epstein Island. Now it's all come out. From Harvey Weinstein to P. Diddy to Jeffrey Epstein to the Bill Clinton gang to the Red Shoe gang to Comet Ping Pong. It is a big, big problem. There's a lot of fatigue, and it needs to be fixed. Not covered up, not buried over, not smooth, not squirrel. Look over there. It needs to be handled. And I wish President Trump had the integrity to do it and stop making excuses and stop covering for bad people, because that's exactly what he's doing. It's exactly what he's doing. And Democrats also, as a political party, are always the victims. Texas somehow magically passed a redistricting congressional map. And Democrats, in protest, left the building. Fuck them. All right, Uman, let's continue. Oh, he says, Uman says, when you focus a spotlight on something, it makes it seem a lot bigger or popular than it is, like the Democrat Party policies, or our food production facilities are all being burned down, or trains are being crashed on purpose. That's true. Yeah, when there's too much focus, or maybe the term could be hyper-focus, we tend to see a lot, right? Now, we did see one train crash, the one in Palestine, right? Is that Palestine, Ohio? Is that what it's called? Yeah. That burned. It put toxic chemicals in the air, chemicals that are toxic in the water and the streams and the rivers. It was so bad that people started looking to see if there was a bigger problem. And we turned out that, yeah, train wrecks are actually very, very, very common. But yeah, media attention and now social media attention tend to blow problems out of proportion. Now, here's my deal. Hundreds and thousands of children being raped by rich elites. That needs public attention and scrutiny because it's criminal. Crashing a train is not necessarily criminal. Burning food plants, that was another one. Started getting a lot of attention. It turned out, I haven't starved since all this has happened. But the government seems to be a big participant in it. Right? The killing of chickens, killing of cows, blaming cows for all of our problems in the world. I mean, literally, China pumps out billions and billions. I'm going to sound like Carl Sagan. Billions and billions of tons of coal is burned in China for power. By the way, they're going nuclear big time as well. But now they're burning coal while they build their nuclear plants. And we're supposed to believe that some cow farts are worse. Unbelievable. Okay, holy cow, we're out of time. We're out of time. Well, I'll be back 0:30 tomorrow, guys. Thank you for participating. Keep an open mind. Don't get sucked into the fight. But when government puts its focus and attacks, understand there's political objective and purpose behind it. And for quite some time, it hasn't been in our favor. God bless America.